I'd like to introduce the ideas of awareness and mindfulness, particularly from the Buddhist tradition. Perhaps most people have heard of mindfulness. It's become a very common term now. It's been, in a way, extracted from the Buddhist tradition and then applied very widely, both in therapeutic situations and also even in lifestyle situations. Mindfulness, we could say, is applied awareness where one brings an attention to something, whether it's a thought or an idea or an action, what we're doing, or to an object, a person, a creature, a task, whatever. Mindfulness is focused awareness. In the Buddhist tradition, this attention is assumed to be in an ethical context. That is, when we're being mindful, we have a skillful, kindly intention that, of course, does no harm. Compared to, say, the concentration of a sports hunter who is stalking an animal. They have focus, yes, they have a very focused mind, but it is with an intent to kill or to harm. That is not mindfulness in the Buddhist tradition, in the Buddhist context. That's just plain concentration. When we are looking at mindfulness, we can apply our attention to the whole self, and that's what we're going to do today. And it's not the only way of becoming aware of the self, but it is one way and a very tried and truly tested method of becoming self-aware. And we can look at ourselves as being a composite of body parts. You know, we are limbs, we are trunk, we are face, head, and so on. And internal organs, skeleton. And we are also sensations, all the things that we are sensing right now. Obviously, visually, when you're looking at me, orally, when you're hearing me. And of course, there will be tactile sensations from where you're sitting, the clothes, the ambient temperature on your skin, and so on. So there's sensations. And then there are feelings, and feelings in the sense of feelings pleasant or unpleasant. And there may be feelings which are neutral. So feelings are, if you like, the hedonic tone of sensation. So we have a sensation, and then we have this feeling or this sense of pleasant or unpleasant about it. So it might be at the moment in the seat and in the legs that I'm sitting that I can feel with my heels. I'd say I can feel the pressures, I can feel the temperatures, and some of those feelings are slightly unpleasant just because it's a bit cold in this room. That's all. And then we can be aware of mental activity as part of oneself. We talk about the body, sensations, and feelings. There's also the mental side of ourselves, which includes the emotions and the moods. In the Buddhist tradition, mind is not separated between cognition and emotions. It's not done that way. That seems to be the way perhaps Western psychology has emerged in the last century and a bit, cognition and emotion. In the Buddhist tradition, mind includes all of those things because they're all related. In fact, many thoughts have a backside of emotional feeling, and emotions and feelings have a thought or a view behind them. So in our practice today, I would like to guide you into a way of becoming more aware of one's body, its parts, the sensations, the feelings pleasant or unpleasant, and the mental activities, including mood and emotions, as much as thoughts and ideas. So why do all this? It probably doesn't take a great leap of imagination to think that better self-care and care of others depends upon the depth and breadth of our awareness. And the more sensitivity we have of ourselves, the more able we can be in becoming creative in response to changes, whether it's changes in our body or our mind. Not being aware of physical change, whether of our posture or our bodily functions or our structure, not being aware of our moods or our underlying thoughts or attitudes, we can't be aware of how we truly interact with the world. And when we're not so aware, that usually leads to a less satisfactory experience of life, if not a problematic one. Body and mind are, of course, intimately related. It's very hard to separate the two. But the more separate they are, the less integrated body and mind are, our life becomes more of a struggle. And conversely, the more integrated body and mind is, the more whole and fulfilling life can be for the benefit of all beings as well as oneself. So the application of mindfulness helps bring about this integration of body and mind. And this integration includes a unification of our intentions, our attitudes and emotions with our body that allows awareness of our mind through the physical. With the basic exercises in awareness and mindfulness, which we will begin shortly, we can expand on them, we can elaborate them to incorporate these principles into everything else we do through the day, whether it's exercise or sport, house and home duties, preparing tea, making food, preparations, eating, washing clothes, washing our bodies, dressing, and so on. We can bring more attention and mindfulness and also enjoyment to these things because we are taking them in fully and wholly as it's happening. Our mind's not separated into thinking, what do I have to do today? What am I doing in the next 5 minutes? Is there petrol in the tank of the car? While we're dressing, we can simply enjoy the moment in the present by feeling what we're doing when we're dressing. Feel the slip of the clothes over the limbs and the skin, feel the change in temperature, and so on. And even start to enjoy all these little simple things in life, which are often all happening automatically and somewhat unconsciously. So mindfulness is building a life, a more conscious life. And as we raise the awareness of our body and mind in more and more things that we do, this will lead to an increasingly continuous awareness. A person who is more continually aware of the breadth and depth within themselves and others is going to lead a much more effective and influential life for the benefit of all beings. This was, of course, exemplified by the Buddha and many followers throughout this millennia since. And of course, such great people are not confined to the Buddhist tradition. Awareness, increased and refined by our mindfulness practices, of course, naturally allows a greater empathy with other beings, empathy with their sufferings as well as their joys. And it also applies to oneself. And this has been a key, that was really a trigger for Nicole's suggestion that maybe we could do something together. Some of the people from Melbourne Buddhist Centre and people involved in animal care, welfare and activism, that we can also apply to ourselves, because we know that people working in these fields that can be very challenging, very confronting and upsetting, and sometimes we can start to buckle under it somewhat. But if we have methods like mindfulness, which can help us bring about more empathy for ourselves, more love, more confidence, more greater feelings of self-worth, then we will be able to be even more effective because we'll have an even bigger and more robust heart of compassion and concern. That empathy, the cultivation of loving kindness to oneself as well as others, that will be the focus of part 2 of this workshop. But this today is focused upon becoming more aware of ourselves and finding where body and mind and emotions meet. And as we practice this, we can practice it any time of the day or the night. Every moment of wakefulness can be an opportunity to become more aware through mindfulness. So that's our mission in the next 20 minutes. And I'll invite you to take your sitting position, ready for this simple exercise. It can be done lying down, but very often when people lie down during this, they end up going to sleep because it's so relaxing.
Sounds good.
And while that can be a good thing to do at night when you want to sleep, right now, it's good to stay awake so we can get the whole exercise in and understand what we're doing together. And relaxation ease and softening of mind and body is a very common effect of these mindfulness practices. Because we bring attention to things, often there is a relaxation around it. Because our attention that we're bringing to our body parts and structures, as well as the thoughts and feelings, is not an attention that demands analysis or demands labeling or demands judgment. If it's good, it's bad, it's right, it's wrong, I shouldn't have it, I should have it. None of that. Let it all go. It is just bare, open, receptive awareness of what is happening in our experience when we focus upon the body or the feelings or the sensations and so on. I'll guide us through it bit by bit, step by step, and I'll bring it to an end. And then we'll have a little spell for any questions. And after that, there'll be a little wrap up from Nicole, and we'll conclude the session. So that's where we are. So with your sitting practice, feel free to just sit in a straight way, upright, but not stiff or rigid. Have the hands or the arms relaxed on your thighs or in your lap, and you can feel free just to put a little cushion on your lap and put your arms and hands over it like that. Quite simple to do, just very restful. Let the shoulders relax. And most people do meditative exercises with the eyes closed, but it's not compulsory. If you prefer to have them open, just let the eyes rest about 1 meter in front of you on the floor or on the ground with no particular focus, just completely relaxing the eyes around that area. Otherwise, just let the eyelids slide over the eyes. If you ever become uncomfortable or there is any pain during the session, please move and adjust so you're out of pain. Not the object to sit through pain. Let's begin by becoming aware of our body mass. The weight of this body pressing through the seat and through the floor with the feet. Becoming aware of the body weight. Relaxing into our body weight. Let's bring our attention to our feet. Becoming aware of the feet on the floor, on the blanket or the mat, wherever it is, the feet. Become aware of the feet. The sensation that the feet bring. Sensations of pressure, of temperature, cloth on the skin, skin on skin of the toes, any other sensations we're aware of. Simply be aware. Maybe a difference between the soles and the backs of the feet. of the toes and the heels. There's a differential. We simply notice it, not to analyze or judge. And there may be some feelings that arise from the feet, pleasant or less pleasant. Simply acknowledge those feelings. Bring our attention to the lower legs, the calves, muscles of the back of the lower leg, the front, the shins of the lower legs. Simply feeling what we feel there, whatever sensations are present. Tension of muscle, temperature of skin, clothing on skin, pressure on the leg. The legs are folded under us. Whatever is there, you simply notice. Being alive to any feelings pleasant or less pleasant in the lower legs. Bring our attention to the knees. Whatever sensations are present in the knees. Any feelings pleasant or less pleasant. Coming to the upper legs, the thighs and the back of the thighs. Aware of the muscle mass. Pressure on the top of the back of the thighs near the buttocks. Any sensation, temperature, clothing, temperature, anything at all. Allowing into our awareness of the thighs. Again, are there any feelings pleasant or less pleasant coming from the thighs? Coming further on to the buttocks, sitting bones, the pelvis, perineum. Simply being aware of sensations. And then of feelings, pleasant or less pleasant. Feeling what we feel. Coming up to the abdomen, being alive to the sensations internal and external on the skin of the abdomen. Internal sensations maybe of some warmth, possibly bowel movement, gurgle of secretions, whatever is there, we can be alive to. And similarly on the surface of the abdomen, muscle tension, clothing, temperature. Any feelings pleasant or less pleasant in the abdomen. Tension ascends once more to the chest. Be alive to whatever we perceive in the chest. Within, inside, might be heartbeats, movements of the breath. Might be a slight noise in the windpipe. And also externally, any sensations come from the chest. Being alive to feelings, pleasant or less pleasant, in the chest. Bring our attention to the back, the spine, starting from low down at the base of the spine. Be aware of that area and gradually bring our attention upward along the back, feeling what we feel. Maybe tensions in the muscles supporting the spine, be the pressure of the back of the seat, temperature, an itch, whatever, allowing it all in. As we come up, there's the shoulder blades behind the shoulders. Aware of what is present there. And then to the neck, back of the neck. Allowing our attention to be light. Light but adhesive, like a butterfly on a leaf. Enjoying, appreciating the myriad of sensations coming from this body, moment to moment, and changing. Being aware of feelings, pleasant or less pleasant, may arise from time to time or place to place, in the back, along the spine. Coming to the head, back of the scalp, ears and the crown, the forehead and temple, with awareness. And coming to the eyes, being aware of the eyes. What sensations are present there? Tension around the eye muscles, sensations from the lids. Well, they may be soft and light. Are there any pleasant or unpleasant feelings with the eyes? Applying the same attention now to the nose, the outside of the nose, the inside of the nostrils. Maybe become aware of the air moving in and out to the nostrils. Likewise to the cheeks and the mouth, feeling what we feel. To the teeth and the tongue, inner mouth, any tension in the muscles of the jaw, we can let them relax. Of the muscles of the face. Sitting at ease, the sensations and the feeling of the face. Coming down to the throat, front of the neck. Sensations may be subtle. Allow our attention to rest on this area, alive to anything that might arise. Coming across to our shoulders now, top of the shoulders. With awareness. into the upper arms, their weight pulling down on the shoulders. And the elbows. And coming to the forearms, sensations and feeling. Coming to the wrists, into the palms, the fingers and the thumbs. And the backs of the hands. Feeling what we feel. We'll now relax the focus on the hand. Broaden the awareness to the whole body, just sitting where we are. A whole body mat, just sitting. Now become aware of our mood, our emotional tone right now. Simply being aware what it is, without need to judge or analyze. Being aware of any thoughts, ideas or memories that pass through our consciousness. Just being aware of the passage of thoughts or emotions. as we sit quietly, still and peacefully, aware of subtle changes, sensations and feelings in the body and the mind. And in the stillness, there's no need to chase the pleasant or fall away from the unpleasant. Sitting peacefully in the passage of all physical and mental events. We'll now bring the practice to a close in our own time, without rush. We can open the eyes and other senses and adjust our posture as we wish. So that was about a 20-minute session there. A guided progressive mindfulness of body and mind.